Commissioner Gandy?
Here.
Mr. Trujillo?
Here.
Mr. Butcher?
Here.
Mr. Sanchez?
Here.
Mayor Campos?
Here. Commissioner Gandy with the invocation, please.
We pray with me.
Thank you,
Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this wonderful day. Lord, we just thank you for the rain that you blessed us with yesterday. Lord, I just thank you for our city employees, Lord, and all the hard work they do for our community. Lord, I just pray that you would bless them with safety, great mercy, and grace. Lord, I just pray for those that are not in our community that have been stricken with violence. Lord, I just pray that you would bless their families with comfort and compassion. Lord, as a community, I pray that we would treat one another with love and respect. Lord, we have many different views and understandings, but Lord, I just pray that we would treat each other like we would like to be treated. Lord, I pray for this commission, Lord. I pray that you would bless us with wisdom and foresight for our community and lead us in a direction that would be pleasing to you. In Jesus Christ's name we pray.
Amen. Would you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, thank you for joining us, everybody. Glad you guys are here. Glad you guys can make it. All right, I'll accept the motion for approval of the agenda.
I'll make the motion we approve the agenda as submitted.
I'll second it.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll accept the motion for consideration of the regular meeting minutes of June 27th, 2016. We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, commissioners and staff report. Commissioner Sanchez. Commissioner Butcher.
I have none.
Okay. Commissioner Gandy.
I do not have anything this evening.
Okay. Commissioner Trujillo.
None.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just had a small short item, and I kind of briefly talked about it with James, and it was concerning some kind of a sensor, a lightning sensor at our splash pad. I got a complaint from a citizen that there was some kids playing out there, and there was lightning in the area, and so he felt that we probably need to have something in place to take care of that, just to prevent any kind of injuries or casualties out there. So I think James, you said you were going to look into that. Is that correct? Yes, okay, very good. I appreciate that. All right, Gary.
Your mayor and commission, I have nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Crystal.
Nothing to report.
All right, thank you. Ana.
Nothing, sir.
Caroline.
Nothing, sir.
Chief Rodriguez.
No, sir.
Chief Lizardo.
Nothing, sir.
I would like to thank you for taking care of the lizard race out there and all the participants that we had out there, and the people watching. And it was hot in that tent, but it was, or the sauna, whatever you want to call it. But it was very worthwhile, and I appreciate you doing that.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And the city staff for taking care of everything at the 4th of July celebration. We appreciated that very much. Had a good turnout, right, James? Okay. You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
I lost count of how many scoops of ice cream were served. Actually, I didn't keep track. It was, I thought it was well attended for the heat that we were suffering, that it was very hot. But, as far as I know, as far as what the city had done, everything went off without incident. And I know as far as the chamber, Raylan reported at her board meeting last week, it went off really good,
Very good.
very smooth.
Did you see any changes we may need to make, Leander, at a city level?
I'm sorry,
Any changes you might recommend next year?
on a city level?
Yes, ma'am.
I do see one, just a suggestion. It would probably be something I would take to the Parks and Rec Board. There needs to be some shade over those playground equipment. That playground equipment is so hot that there were no kids, absolutely no kids playing on that equipment throughout the day. I don't know if y'all ever noticed, but that was one of the hottest things. One of the parents made the comment early on in the day that let's hurry up and go play on this before it gets too hot. And that was probably one of the biggest things that I did see and did hear. So that's just something to look into probably. And it could be something cost efficient, but just something on a city level. But it was a good day. We had lots of kids out there, and I think they had a lot of fun. So I measure the success of an event based on how happy the kids are and how much fun they had. And we gave out fireworks, and I didn't hear any complaints on that. So we had a good time. And we gave out fireworks to 300 kids. So there were 300 kids that absolutely got fireworks, and we gave out prizes during the games that were fireworks, and we gave out a family package, 2 family packages, 3 family packages for the event. So, and I didn't see an unhappy child. So, but it was hot.
We had some happy adults in the splash pad.
I saw that. So, but, and I just wanted to thank the fire department, the police department, the city of Lovington, and our additional sponsors of the event, and for everyone's help, the rec and parks departments as well.
Thank you, really. Appreciate that. And James, and we discussed, as a matter of fact, maybe having some misters out there next year. It was so hot that I think that would have been kind of nice to have that out there and kind of cool things off a bit for us adults as well. So appreciate that, James. Patrick, any words of wisdom for us?
Not yet.
Okay, but they're coming, right?
Awesome.
All right, very good. We'll be waiting for those. Okay. Yes, sir.
Mayor, Commissioners, just to update you guys, we have approved the Ferry Rodeo beer garden permit, and also the permit for the Main Street Live on Love concert this weekend. Also, some sad news, last Saturday, former city manager Michael Layton did pass away. So just keep Judy in your thoughts and your prayers.
Did you send her some? Did we send her? We can just send a card. I would like to sign that card.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Okay. Thank you, James. All right, moving on, we'll go into the non-action items. Discussion of Parks and Recreation Board appointment. James?
Mayor and Commissioners, we do have a Parks and Recreation Board position open for a resident who lives within the city limits. So we'll be asking the public if they're interested to please get their name to city staff or to one of the commissioners, so we can include that as an action item at the July 25th meeting.
Somebody did reach out to me and asked me about that, and I referred them back to you, James, so they'll be getting in touch with you. Thank you. The next non-action item, discussion of athletic field use policy. James?
Mayor and Commissioners, we had a visit by our insurance company, Travelers Insurance, a couple of months ago, and every year they come out and they do a site visit and they just look at different city facilities and policies, and one of the things that they focused on this year was our athletic facilities, the Love Street baseball field, Harold Reynolds softball complex, and the commercial baseball field. So they asked, what policies do we have? We don't actually run or manage the leagues. We simply supply the facilities for the leagues to use, which they were happy with, but there was a couple of policies that they would like us to develop and adopt. In addition to that, we are blessed that we have a lot of activity as far as youth athletic programs, and we sometimes have overlapping events. So this led to a policies that we have run through our Parks and Recreation Board, who at their last meeting they recommend that we do proceed with adoption of this policy, but we wanted to discuss this with you all tonight to go over the highlights on this. So of course this just develops those regulations and policies that we have. Some of this is already taken care of by city ordinance. But also, how do we schedule, or how does an individual or group schedule time at one of these athletic facilities? And also a means for the city to, in the event somebody's not doing the right thing by using those fields, not taking care of them, we have a means to revoke those permits. So some of the items in that draft policy that we have, first of all, a resident. We really welcome those individuals who live in the extraterritorial zone. So we actually, in this policy, deem those individuals as residents. So it's anyone within the city limits of Lovington and within the extraterritorial zone. And that comes into play when we look at priorities, when we have, I guess, competing events for the same time slot, how we would prioritize instead of a first come, first serve. Also, youth that's anyone 18 years of age or younger. So we also look at nonprofit. Granted, we have had in the past individuals who have run tournaments for profit, but we want to make sure really that either they're a not-for-profit corporation, which very few actually have that designation, or they actually are in their mission statement bylaws, they declare that they are not-for-profit. Mainly they're in this for the benefit of the players, whether they are youth or adult. So we looked at qualifications as far as, in the event that somebody puts in an application basically at the same time, how we would award the reservation of that field or that facility, which the primary goal is we want youth engagement. So type 1, obviously, or group 1 would be any type of city-sponsored event, but then you would also have a not-for-profit youth program or organization with 75% of the players being Lovington residents, because these are Lovington facilities. And you can see by the different groups, would this actually have to be implemented? There's a high probability not, but we're just kind of planning for the future in the event that our facilities become a lot more popular for use. We also have a permitting process where they have to agree to abide by any of the rules and regulations established by these city codes and ordinances. We also have a whole harmless and indemnity agreement, which the insurance company wanted to make sure that we had in place for users of this facility in a group setting. Also proof of insurance, and then we would also have there was on this one model policy I looked at, they wanted a roster submitted, but we're not recommending that. Perhaps just to verify the residency stats. We don't want names of youth. We just want a statement from that organization that this percentage of players reside or are residents of the city of Lovington per this policy. The reason being we don't want a list of those rosters is sometimes those rosters aren't developed yet, but also it becomes a matter of public record. And I know I would not necessarily want my children's names released for somebody to file a freedom of information request. Also, you can make multiple reservations. Of course, we have seasons that are historical, such as softball, soccer, flag football, baseball. However, if you miss a deadline, then the allocation of the field or the facility would be resort to a first-come, first-served basis. But just because you submit that application, we have to go through, we make sure that you meet all the requirements set in that policy. It doesn't mean that it's automatically approved. It takes planning by these groups to make sure that they meet all those deadlines. We also have fees. The reason being is we invest a lot. I actually have a breakdown of it, but we suggested a $10 per day use of deposit, meaning that should you comply with all the rules and regulations, you don't have any of the damages or trash issues, that deposit will be refunded, but it helps get that buy-in to help take care of that property. Whenever you look at what it costs us per day to maintain these facilities, we ran it with just the utilities and the salary of the staff, supplies, and you can see that it costs the city quite a bit, 365 days a year, to actually manage those facilities. So they're actually getting this facility, granted, we all pay the gross receipts tax, we can do this, but with the deposit, it is refundable. Just make sure that the coaches, the players, the parents will have that buy-in to help take care of our equipment. We also have a process in the policy to identify how you would cancel reservations, a refund policy in the event of the cancellations because of a lack of game or even bad weather. We also have an exchange process in the event that, let's say that a group who is reserved that field, we have a softball tournament that wants to come in, but that field's already reserved. Everything is done in writing, so we have a clear, I guess you would say, transaction history to prove, so nobody can come back and say, well, you promised. It's all done in writing. And then, of course, how we allocate those fields. So some of the rules and regulations, they're listed in there. They have to agree to these. They cover who's the responsible party. It's gonna, if it's a group, an organization like the baseball league or the softball league. The president is responsible to make sure that all the coaches and players follow all these rules and regulations. We also have addressing parking. We don't want any vehicles on the inside of the field. We have designated public parking areas. It's a safety concern. So this makes it clear that vehicles, unless it's prior approved in writing by the city, vehicles are remaining in the public parking areas. Concession stand use, we do address this, that if you're going to have a concession stand, it needs to be noted on that permit, and all of those proceeds have to go to the direct benefit of that organization and not to an individual. Because we are providing that facility free of charge. We don't need somebody going in there and setting up shop to make a profit off of this. So and we would have access to inspect those records to make sure that those proceeds are going back to the organization. We also as far as entry and admission, you can't charge for that because once again, anti-donation, we are providing that facility free. And then, of course, the equipment being used, making sure that it's safe. We've had a couple of instances where some of the associations will leave equipment there so that the next season they can use it. It clearly specifies that equipment needs to be not only safe, it needs to be stored properly and then removed at the end of the permit. And then cleanup and damages, making sure that, I can understand that, a couple of pieces of trash here and there, but, somebody comes in and just totally trashes the place, you're going to lose your deposit. If the facility is damaged and after we investigate, you stand a chance to lose that deposit. Also, your organization may have to pay for those damages. So it's just really to make sure that we all take care of our own equipment and facilities. And then one of the other things that the insurance company wanted us to make sure is that every organized sport, their coaches, their board, they have to have concussion protocol training. That's a big issue of liability now, and that's one of the things that the insurance company wants us to make sure that these organized groups actually have their coaches going through that training. To address some of the questions that the Parks and Rec Board had asked, the first one was, can we require background checks of all coaches? After consulting with Patrick, the answer is we really can't do that. And then the other question was, do we need to be made aware of all injuries? We really don't. There's other mechanisms that we are notified in the event of an injury. And that's all I have unless the commission has any questions.
Commissioner, any questions? Any discussion? Very good. Thank you for that, James. Now we'll move on to public comment. And if you'll note, it's been moved up prior to the action items. So if you have any questions or comments to make, particularly about action items, you can at this time. It doesn't have to be related to that, but now is your opportunity. Anybody can step up at this point for public comment. I don't know if Clint heard or not. It's public comment. Okay, never mind. Just making sure you hadn't heard us, that's all. Yes. All right. Nobody care to speak at this point? All right, very good. All right, we'll move on to action items. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion. We consider approval of ordinance 544, zoning change from zone D, industrial to zone C, commercial for county fair edition, blocks 5, 6, 7, and 8.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. James?
Mayor Commissioners, this was presented to the commission about a month ago. We've advertised it. We provided notification to all the adjacent property owners. What this does is changes the section in orange, which if you look on the left side, that will be commercial all the way up to whether it's Curry. Currently zoned industrial, we will be changing it from industrial to commercial zone.
All right. Any discussion, commissioners? Questions? Comments? Everybody good with it?
I'm good with it.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Sanchez?
Yes, I just want to, so right now it's industrial, but is there the reason for this? Is just because, for the fair thing? Is that what it is?
No, sir. This actually, memory serves, this was a request by a property owner who owns a company out there, and they want to have a residence on that site. The industrial zone prohibits occupation for residential living in the industrial zone. Instead of just simply doing what they call spot zoning, changing the zoning for that one parcel, this entire tract, property owners were contacted, went through the planning and zoning. It does conform with the comprehensive plan.
So everything else there is already commercial?
Yes, sir. All of the existing uses fall within the commercial category, yes, sir.
Any other questions? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, very good. I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to consider resolution 2016-44, Norley Hospital Wellness Center Agreement.
Second.
We have a second. James?
Mayor and Commissioners, this has been tabled the past 2 meetings. However, we believe that the final document with one typo correction, you'll notice on page 2, it references the county. In the first sentence, it would be Norley Hospital District. But the agreement is ready to go for commission approval. And Mr. Shaw has also advised he has this on his agenda for his board to adopt as well. The only change in this agreement is this is an agreement between the hospital and the city. The schools will be doing their own agreement since they have a little bit different type of usage, just simply between the schools and the hospital.
All right. Mr. Shaw, anything you want to add to this or speak on behalf of this?
No, the hospital district's in favor of this agreement, and we'll present it to our board on the 27th, I believe, for the final approval. And I present it tomorrow night to the school district.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Any other discussion?
Yeah, it's been to my understanding, I was saying like, you know, the city, the county, the schools. Now, one part, I understand that the county's funding is coming from a different source than theirs. Are they pulling out, or are they still in this?
Would you like to?
Early on in the discussion with the county and the hospital district are partnered on a number of projects throughout the county. And so they're providing funding to the hospital district to offset our expenses in other areas. So the amount that the city is committed to and the school district is committed to has not changed. And that's stated clearly in the contract. The hospital district is fine with the agreements as they stand and the partnerships. You know, I could go through the list, but there's a number of agreements we have with the county where they provide funding and in-kind support to the hospital district throughout the county.
So the county's just a different entity or funding, but they're still in it. That's
Oh yeah, they're very
bottom line.
supportive of the project, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Any discussion, Commissioners? Good. Commissioner Sanchez, I feel the question coming.
Well, the last time we were talking about it, I think we tabled it for some reason. We tabled it, so were we all in agreement that we were going to go ahead with it? Or were we thinking different? That was my
What were the reasons,
understanding of it.
James, that we tabled it?
The Mayor Commissioners, the reason we tabled it the last time was we were going to explore the option of just having our own independent agreement between the city and the hospital. Reason being, just looking at it from a potential liability standpoint. Since the schools will be having a swim team, we just are simply providing funding for the operations, but we don't want to be involved in the management and day-to-day operation of the facility. So it just gave us additional time to prepare that agreement to where it's strictly between the hospital and the city.
So we got the agreement already?
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of passing this resolution, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. I'll entertain another motion.
Make a motion, we consider resolution 2016-55, approval to advertise an ordinance amendment, chapter 2.92 of the Lovington Municipal Code to include changes to hours work definition and allowing a section K exemption for the police department should municipal revenues decline.
I'll second that.
We have a second, James?
Mayor and Commissioners, as discussed previously in work sessions when we were going through our budget and our revenue contingency plan, one of the options that we discussed was a Section K exemption for the police department, which changes their, I guess you would say, the definition of their weekly or monthly pay period and hours worked. In the event that revenues do decline to certain levels, this would allow the city commission to switch the police department over to a Section K work schedule. Right now, if we pass this, they would still continue to be paid as they are right now. There would be no changes unless the commission, by majority, actually elected to do Section K.
And this will be done with the intention of reducing income loss or revenue loss.
Yes, sir, to help ensure that our general fund remains solid.
Okay. Very good. Chief Rodriguez, any comment from you?
No, sir.
All right, very good. Questions from the commission? All right. All in favor of passing this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain another motion.
Make a motion, we consider resolution 2016-56, approval to advertise an ordinance amending chapter 15.04 Uniform Building Code to adopt most current New Mexico State Building Code by reference.
I'll second.
We have a second. James?
Actually, Mayor, Commissioners, I'll let Crystal explain this. She brought this to me a couple
All right,
of
very
weeks
good.
back.
Crystal?
Just the fact that our building code actually states that we're to abide by a very old international building code, and it didn't have any allowance for any current codes that have been adopted by the state. So we just need to change that wording, adopt the newest state code, and we also wanted to put in there, because like the state is fixing to even go on to a next 2015 code. Right now they abide by the 2009 for building, plumbing and electricals, the 2012. So we just want the proper wording in there to state that whatever the state is currently adopting, we will adopt.
So once the state adopts the 2015 code, are we going to do the same
Now, the way
thing?
we're gonna word it is if they adopt an additional code after that, that it would become ours then.
We adopted that.
Yes.
Okay. All right, very good. Any discussion, commissioners? Questions? Comments?
Yeah, I want to ask one thing.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Does Skip and all these guys, they know about this already?
Yes.
Okay. It's okay.
They probably brought it to our attention, right?
No, I actually talked to Skip about it, because he didn't know our code didn't have the language in it to adopt any present codes that the state
Okay.
has.
Very good.
So, I had some issues with the billing code, some insurance wasn't wanting to pay because our code says we only do this, and the state code. So actually, Skip had to turn around and write a letter to that insurance company that the state wouldn't, pass their billing inspection without it being up to code per the state regulations.
Thank you for that, Crystal. All right. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor of this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I will entertain another motion.
I'd like to make a motion to consider resolution 2016-15 housing incentive agreement with M&L's development for Sunrise Edition Phase 2.
There's actually resolution 57, right?
Yes, sir.
I second the motion.
2016-57.
We have a second?
I second.
All right, James.
Mayor Commissioners, we had previously approved this particular project back in September 2015 for the Sunrise Edition Phase 2, which is located in the area of 7th and Birch and Aspen. It was for 7 homes. This incentive is funded through the local economic development GRT tax and part of our housing reimbursement program. They had some issues with different contractors backing out. They essentially provide for a new agreement. They would have 1 year to complete the construction of the 7 homes. The infrastructure has actually already been put in place, the water and sewer and the streets and the curb. This agreement is very similar to the previous one, however, it will require landscaping in the front yard, fence, ADA compliant sidewalk. Those are the additional items in this particular agreement.
Is street paving part of that?
Street
Agreement as
paving, yes, sir, and actually the paving on this project is already complete.
Okay, all right, very good. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
What is the incentive for them?
The incentive is, this program was created to help, promote housing development. So we had funding set aside in our LEADA funding to where a developer who builds 4 or more homes in a project is eligible up to $6,000 in real or actual cost for off-site infrastructure, the street, curb, sidewalk. So the way this process works is that they would submit a proposal to our Economic Development Corporation. They would review it. They would make a recommendation on whether they would receive a total of $6,000 or it could be reduced because, which we've had a couple like that, where the infrastructure was already in place. They build that home after every fourth home, they can actually apply for reimbursement, at which time we provide them a check. And this is also a partnership with Lee County, to where they will actually provide 50% reimbursement to the city per completed home.
Any other discussion, comments from the commission? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain another motion.
I'll make that motion to consider resolution 216-58, 216-217, budget adoption.
I'll second.
We have a second. James or Gary?
Your Mayor and Commission, staying in compliance with the state laws, we're required to, before the end of this month, submit a final budget after it's been approved by your commission. There have been some changes to this final budget from the last one when we had all our work studies and what was approved for our interim budget. And essentially the changes amounted to increasing some expenditures in the water fund to cover maintenance and contracts with census and SCADA. I'm not even sure who it is, but our census software that we use for reading meters and everything, we needed to put in some money for that. And then we had a reduction in our insurance rates. They came in less than we had anticipated, so we have a savings that we're showing there. And then another item that we've done is an allocation of administrative salaries to enterprise funds, again, to help reduce the burden on the general fund. So, a situation where, for example, the city manager oversees the whole city, therefore part of the salary rightfully should be charged, say, water, sewer, fire, court. And those are the changes, which effectively give us a savings to our general fund overall of about $140,000. If we need.
Now, you mentioned the insurance being lowered. How did we come about that?
When we were going through our estimates and we contacted the insurance company, they gave us just increase what you paid last year by 5%. And so we did that when we were working on our interim budget. So we had no final numbers. They finally contacted us here, was it 2 weeks ago? To let us know what the actual cost will be. So we had more than a 5% savings on that. It actually reduced it from the last year's fees.
Very good. That's always nice.
And when I'm speaking insurance, I'm saying liability, auto insurance, that type of thing.
Okay, very good. Commissioners, any discussion, any questions? All right, very good. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. I'll entertain another motion.
I'll make a motion of approval of accounts payable.
We have one right above that, Commissioner Sanchez.
Lodger's tax.
I entertain that motion to consider approval of Lodger Tax Board funding recommendations.
I'll second it.
We have a second motion to consider approval of lodgers tax board funding recommendations. James?
Mayor and Commissioners, we had our third quarter meeting for lodger's tax on June 30th. We had over $67,000 in requests. However, whenever we did our financial report, which our financial report is based on historical averages, and really you're just projecting what you're looking at over the next 3 months. We have been using this formula for the past couple of years, and however, this last quarter we were actually short $3,000 on our revenue projections. And that is why we always leave a $4,000 balance of the projected money in reserve to cover that. So essentially, with our looking at our historical averages, even going back to the last downturn in the economy plus the recession, we're actually still looking at about we're estimating at least a 20% reduction in lodger's tax revenue. This left us with $7,900 to allocate for the third quarter. The recommendation that we made to the lodger's tax board, which they did recommend with proceeding, was to only fund the quarterly allocation of $3,000 to the chamber, and all of the other projects receiving no funding. This will help us maintain that $4,000 reserve, but also allow our chamber to continue to operate.
Questions, comments?
No.
Yeah.
So that money that we're allocating for the chambers, what utilities and insurance, stuff like that, or?
Yes, it funds with the operation of the chamber. It's part of their annual budget, which part of their budget, $12,000 of their city allocation comes from lodger's tax, and the remaining $35,000 comes from our general fund.
James, on one note, this across the board with the Main Street Chamber and EDC. Patrick, how do we stand, since we fund these three organizations, how does it stand with them as, let's say, for instance, I'll put Ray on the spot, as not being an employee of the city of Lovington because we fund them with X amount of dollars? What does that play in factor, where?
I guess what I have to do is go back and take a look at the original agreement between the city and those entities. There should be some language in there that allows that funding to take place without creating an employer-employee relationship as far as Raylan or anybody else at the chamber or any other organization that we do that, like a Main Street or something like that. But I'd have to go back and pull those to see. Most of those were put together prior to me coming on to this particular position. So I can get that for you and certainly answer those questions. But it's not something that's uncommon in that type of situation. But I'm pretty sure there'll be some language in there that identifies, that it's not a situation of an employer-employee. So,
And if they would ever consider that, would they be, how would that work if they ever consider it?
when you say they,
Or any of the three is what I'm referring to. I mean, let's say if one of the organizations, the entities said, well, since the majority of the money that we're funding them is with their executive member, or board, or what is it called, not executive, it would be their board
board of directors.
board director. But I'm just saying, would they be possible that they could come forward as an employee, or?
I don't think so, simply because of the, prior agreement as far as their establishment and what the terms and conditions were to the funding. I mean, certainly anybody could make a claim at any time that, they thought they were an employee. But what would happen is if there's some question as to that, we go back and take a look at, maybe how that person was treated in the past. Were they treated the same as city employees, differently? How long had that been in place? But the real answer to that's going to be
because I'm just saying that kind of like draws a fine line because of where the money is being allocated in that aspect of it. You know, is it going straight to the director or is it dispersed in other manners? You know, so that's where my concern would be.
Well, I can take a look at it, we can put it on the next agenda as a discussion item, maybe what the arrangement is, and if there's some language in there that's specific to whether or not anybody hired by that entity is a city employee or is not a city employee. That's something that the council wants to take a look at, the commission.
I'd like to be, and it's maybe due to the amount that's given to them. We give them this lump sum.
So they're not actually under city insurance then? They're under their own insurance.
Thank you, Patrick.
Sure.
All right, any other discussion regarding the largest tax board funding recommendation? Everybody's good? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'll entertain another motion.
I make a motion to approve the council payable. I jumped the gun while I looked at that.
Second it.
We have a second. Gary? James?
Your mayor and commission, the single largest expenditure of this particular payout was for our annual insurance premiums, which happened to be $275,000. I don't think that number's correct. $275,034. And so that's just kind of the biggest highlight. So we have periodic times, sometimes we have big payments, sometimes we don't. Do you have any other questions?
Commissioners, anybody?
Who would have said donuts? I probably would have.
The JD fencing, I saw that in an email, but what was that particularly about, the 23,000?
It's primarily some fencing for the water department, and I really honestly don't know what they need it for.
Why, I think that's.
2 years ago on our sanitary survey from the state of New Mexico, it is regulation that our well field, that we have fencing going around our booster and our chlorinator building, just for the safety factor. And that's what we put in last year's budget. And they did put currently right now there's 8-foot chain link fence with razor wire on top that is installed out in our well field.
With razor wire, is that what you said?
Well, it's the barbed wire, razor
Constantine
wire.
wire?
Yeah, we don't want nobody in there.
You don't want nobody getting in there, do you?
No, we don't.
Okay.
But that's
Get
what the
down.
23,000 was for.
Okay, anyway, appreciate that. Constantine wire. Commissioners, anything else? Anybody? Commissioner Sanchez, you have a question? Commissioner Sanchez?
It's paid.
I'm sorry? Oh, are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Nothing else on the agenda. We'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.